Out of the gate, I'm letting you know that this upgrade plan is focused on Ureni of the Unwritten. The deck box says ramp mana summon dragons. You gotta go with the dragon commander this time, right? Well, it's also because of the 5 precons, this was the hardest to build an upgrade plan for. The more I tested and brewed and looked at Eshki's high power game plan and the really weirdly red heavy weighting of this deck, the more I came to the conclusion that this didn't need to be 3 colors. And that's not to say that Eshki is bad, it's just that I feel like she'd be better as a Temur mid-range creature, high value, with the side of Voltron and ping everyone at the table for power. I might build that later. And I'm not saying there isn't some value in this deck. There's some awesome reprints and amazing new cards. And in fact, at time of recording, this has the highest monetary value out of the box of any of these 5 decks. It's just that you could build a Gruul of 5 color dragon deck and have a stronger, more focused game plan. But enough of my opinion. This isn't a bad deck and we can definitely make it better. With a 7 cost commander and a whole lot of costly dragons, the game plan here is to ramp while surviving long enough to get some power on the board and go to town with some big old dragons. With that in mind, I put together my standard 2 lists. One budget list of all cards below $5 or so, and one not so budget list so you can see the full height and power that dragons can get to. Both of these lists, what I've cut and my personal final recommendations for a deck list are down below in the description with the subscribe button and in the comments for you to check out. While you're there, you can also see the other tarkir dragonstorm lists we have and our 5-player Star Commander gameplay video. Out of the box, I feel the namesake isn't quite there and this deck needs more ramp. There's some decent cost reduction already included, but if we want to consistently cast our commander and get a real dragonstorm going, then we need every chance we can get to get our lands onto the field. I've gone with Cultivate and Rampant Growth to double up on our 2 and 3 drop mana. To assist with mana and play into getting some hits in with our threats as soon as possible, I highly recommend Carnelian Orb of Dragonkind. 3 cost rocks have to do something pretty useful to take up a slot over cheaper options, but it giving haste to get double Ureni triggers is well worth it. Speaking of haste, you should definitely throw in Rising of the Day. Give everything haste and buff up the 11 legendary creatures that already come in this deck, because dragons kinda overrepresent in that field, plus the many more to come in this video. Like Thrakus the Butcher. With any kind of build for the late game deck, you want to hit as hard as possible when you finally get the chance to. And doubling the power of every dragon you control means you can very easily wipe out the whole table, or even go for a commander damage kill in the right circumstances. And together with Earthquake Dragon, you can live the dream of swinging a 20/20 trampler at someone. If you've built up even a little board state, the cost of this guy gets pretty low. To help with that though, we can get a few extra treasures along the way. Ganak's Astral Hunter might be a little highly costed to really ramp at 5 mana, but an extra treasure anytime a dragon enters cannot be ignored when dragons are coming in for free with this deck. And speaking of free dragons, we have to put in my favorite dragon 1-drop, Minion of the Mighty. He's not a dragon himself, but build up to a measly 6 power and start doubling up on all the free dragons you're dropping in this deck. To help us survive long enough to get those free commander dragons, we might need an extra bit of removal, so I've added Ryusi and Meringue. Ryusi, the Falling Star, is a great tool to stop your opponents from swinging at you with the threat of losing their non-flyers over their heads, and leaving you mostly unscathed, ready for the clapback. And Meringue serves a double purpose. A 4-mana draw 3 and discard 1 isn't amazing, but the value of having it just in case can't be ignored. Omens aren't as powerful as Adventures in my opinion, but are still a fun design space I'm happy to see explored. The real value here is returning other permanents to their owner's hands on the body of a 6/7. If we're playing blue, we might as well lean into one of its tropes. Now for some not so budget cards. Temur opens you up to some of the best ancient insert metal here dragons, and you can add them in if you want, but the price tag is a bit high for what I'm looking for. I love precons, even slightly upgraded for that bracket 2 C decks do their thing feeling. If you want to go harder, then just slap some of these in. Cavern Hall Dragon is a decent second treasure option for red though. Cost reduction on a 6/6 hasty trampling dragon is already pretty solid. Doubled up with treasures whenever it deals damage to an opponent, and you've got a powerhouse on your hands. And if you're going to make a few treasures, you might as well power them up with Goldspan Dragon, doubling the amount of mana you get from any treasure you create. And to round out the extra mana options, we have Fanatic of Ronus. 2 mana, tap for 1, and then tap for 4 if we can get something powerful onto the field. It's a great blocker early game, and a great mana dork in the mid game with the Eternalize ability to get it back for some late game shenanigans. Next up, we have a few cards to start dishing out some extra damage. Dragonhawk and Ureni the Song Unending from the main Dragonstorm set. Personally, I was hoping for the normal dragon version of Dragonhawk in this set to show up and show us what this guy looked like before he ended up on Bloomburrow, but I guess with dragonstorms showing up all over the multiverse, there was no guarantee this guy was from Tarkir. Still, card advantage into pinging each opponent for 2 based on how many big creatures we have is a pretty solid option. And Ureni is another 10/10 dragon to add into the mix. Whenever they enter, you get to spread some damage around equal to the number of lands you control. It's a very powerful late game ability to remove a threat and get the win. Both can be made even better with the help of Twin Flame Tyrant. Double up that damage and then double up all combat damage you do. Once again, aiming to end the game as soon as possible when you can finally cast these big creatures. And speaking of doubling, the previously best Temur Dragon Commander option, Miriam, is too good to ignore. 6/6 Ward 2 and non-legendary tokens of any dragon that enters, it's game over pretty quickly after that. To round things out, we need to protect our investments, so we have Greaves and Smuggler's Surprise. Greaves is another haste option, plus it gives the equipped creature Shroud. And Smuggler's Surprise is a card I struggle not to put into any big green creature deck these days. Hexproof and Indestructible for 2 mana is already amazing, but throwing the ability to slap down 2 creatures for a measly 6 mana and you're ready for a win, and it's just a fantastic include. Oh, and it mills for fun if you feel like it. So those are my upgrades for Temur Raw. It's been talked about a lot in online circles as the weakest of these decks, but with a few upgrades it gets a bit faster and can slam down a lot of dragons, and what's not to love about a whole lot of dragons? All of my lists are down below for you to check out. Let me know in the comments what you think or what you might add or remove from this deck. The feedback here and on Moxfield is always much appreciated. If you're keen to see this play, definitely keep your eye out for the Commander gameplay video that is either already out or coming soon depending on what I feel like editing. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Tom from Nerds of the West. Best of luck with all your Commander games, and I'll catch you next time.